Pokemon Horizons Episode 4, a washed ashore treasure, just aired, and wow, Roy was as amazing as I expected. The episode begins with Liko and Sprigatito waking up in the brave Asagi, finally together after being separated by the explorers. A nice humming sound catches their attention, so they go check outside. Turns out it's Fuecoco who's singing. Fuecoco isn't the most social of Pokemon, so Liko's presence scares him, causing him to run away. Right away, it's basically showing us that Fuecoco likes to sing, which is a trait that it's known to have in the games. Its evolutionary line signature move is Torch Song after all. Friede, realizing that their ship is a little damaged because of the fight with the explorers, they decide to take a pit stop at the nearest island to do some repairs. Conveniently for all of us, it's the same island in the middle of nowhere that Roy lives in, so I'm sure that's going to come into play during the episode. Fuecoco slides down the ship and falls into the water as Liko continuously tries to find it. In this, we find out from Mollie that the reason that Fuecoco seems to be on board is because of its admiration for Charizard. After our first conversation with Ludlow, Liko sets off the ship in search for Fuecoco on the island. Fuecoco is living its best life, just going around the forest and eating heaps of food and just exploring. Roy, who is a master of throwing rocks in a cool manner, is also there. He goes to the jungle and starts FaceTiming his friends. He seems to be part of an online class and his classmates are showing off their first Pokemon. Roy hasn't gotten his partner Pokemon yet, so I wonder who it's gonna be. It seems that all of the kids are from different parts of the world, and Roy reveals that there are actually no trainers on his island, so that it makes it difficult for him to find his first Pokemon, or the fact that he's never actually left his island before. I wonder if that's ever gonna change. All of the kids share their dreams with each other, with some of the classmates wanting to do the gym challenge. Roy says that he has a plan, showing off an ancient looking Pokeball, but he's gonna need a partner Pokemon for it. Liko and Sprigatito continue their search for Fuecoco until she stumbles upon a tree with some bits of leftover berries inside of it. As soon as they go out, they are met with an angry group of Pokemon who think that they're the ones that ate all of their food. Liko and Sprigatito make a run for it as we get another look at Roy, who just finished his class, and then on his Rotom phone we get an exciting new episode of Nidothing. This time they fill us in on all Pokeballs and what their use is, but watching this and seeing Ludlow early on makes me wonder some things. Like, on one hand it should be sort of obvious that Ludlow would be Nidothing, but on the other hand it would be too obvious if it was him with all of these hints at this point. What do you think? Roy suddenly hears a random singing voice in the middle of the jungle, so his curiosity causes him to approach the mysterious sound. He finds Fuecoco singing as the Firecroc watches the beautiful horizon. What was Fuecoco singing? Probably letting you guys know to like this video if you're enjoying it thus far. But anyways, Fuecoco is frightened by Roy, so he runs away. Roy tries his best to chase after him until Fuecoco almost falls into a creek, but Roy quickly jumps to save him, and Fuecoco begins to show some trust towards Roy. Roy then takes a look at the brave Asagi in awe. It's so cool to see Roy being an amazing main character and showing the natural love that he has for Pokemon. Being in a secluded island apart from the main island of Kanto, he is more in tune with the random Pokemon around him, and it really shows. Roy applauds his singing, saying that he likes it, and then cheers Fuecoco up, boosting his confidence, and they sing together under the tree, and honestly that was such a wholesome moment that really showed that these two are going to be great partners one day. I'm sure that he's going to be caught by the end of the episode. As Friede is speaking to Roy's grandpa, who looks a lot like Price in my opinion, a random guy suddenly calls for help because a bunch of wild Pokemon are running amok. Friede acknowledges this and runs off to go solve the issue. We see that poor Liko and Sprigatito are still running away from wild Pokemon, but lucky for them, Roy hears a commotion and goes to give them a lending hand. Roy shows us his natural trainer instincts and his Tarzan-like abilities, running from tree to tree and using his rock throwing skills to distract the Pokemon before finally saving Liko. After regrouping, they finally introduce themselves to one another, with Roy stating that his goal is to fight all of the legendary Pokemon and to travel the world. Definitely big dreams for a boy who has never left his home island before, but you know what they say, big dream or go home. I like the natural chemistry that they have on screen together, and I really do think that both Liko and Roy are going to be an amazing main character duo. Liko also tells Roy that the Pokemon he was bonding with is called Fuecoco, because again, he's never seen it before. But enough gushing about that, the Pokemon that were following before finally caught up to them and they are not happy. Liko tries to fend them off with a Leaf Edge attack, but they get overwhelmed with one of the strongest moves ever in the anime, String Shot. The Pokemon take them back to the spot where Fuecoco ate all of their berries, but in the nick of time, Friede shows up. He shows us once again that when he's not his forgetful self, not only is he an amazing trainer, but a very competent one at that. He didn't use Charizard because of course he would incinerate the wild Pokemon who are all weak to it. He takes the matter into his own hands and starts dancing around the String Shots, which ends up trapping the Pokemon themselves. He then feeds the Pokemon Lum Berries, which he randomly has access to, and all is safe. He unties both Liko and Roy being particularly very grateful, and then making the correct assumption that Friede must be a Pokemon professor. Liko and Roy both have the same idea to go gather extra berries for the Pokemon, as they deserve it, showing us that they both share the same brain cells and are definitely linked. In fact, we know they're linked because early on in the episode we saw that Roy's Pokeball and Liko's pendant started shining and acting out at the same time. But yeah, the episode ends with Friede and Liko returning to the airship with Fuecoco and Roy staying on the island. Liko is thinking overnight how she got saved by Roy and then thinking about how her pendant was shining again. We then see Amethio, who is talking to what I assume is the bigger bad guy, and they are still in pursuit of the rising Volt tacklers with the tracking device coming in clutch. They are following in a submarine, but sadly it's not a Magikarp themed one, so I guess the explorers are definitely more boring than Team Rocket. I'm quite surprised that we didn't get to see Roy catch Fuecoco in this episode, or at the very least joining the rising Volt tacklers, but I guess Liko didn't join them either in her first episode. I think that Roy's probably going to join the rising Volt tacklers before catching Fuecoco, but that could just easily be interchangeable without much difference. Fuecoco clearly has a soft spot for Roy, and when they sang together, I think it solidified in its mind that Roy is a good guy, and probably someone that he wants to join sometime later. It was cool to see when Fuecoco was traveling around the island on its own, how it stumbled across Roy's secret base, and just the fact that he has one is super cool since we don't often get to see secret bases at all. Roy's had a really strong introduction thus far. Even though he doesn't own a Pokemon yet, he is definitely going to become a competent Pokemon trainer. My rating for this episode is an 8 out of 10. I liked it slightly more than the last episode, and honestly Roy made the episode a lot for me. Seeing him being a mini Tarzan, but also a great friend to Fuecoco warmed my heart a lot. It seems that in the next episode Roy is going to sneak onto the Brave Asagi, as we did see him eyeing it all throughout the episode. He probably misses Fuecoco, and that's going to be what ultimately drives him to go on board. The explorers will finally catch up to them and probably launch a bunch of attacks on the rising Volt tacklers in order to get the pendant. I think we're going to get a lot of moments from Roy and Fuecoco in the next episode, as well as building on the friendship with Liko and Roy. By the end of the episode, we'll have Friede asking Roy's grandpa if he can join their team to have Roy travel around the world, as well as to solve the mystery of the Pokeball that he's holding, since they do seem to like secrets of the Pokemon world. In other news, next week I'm going to be dropping one of my biggest videos ever, and I don't want to show the thumbnail yet, but if you're a Serena fan, let's just say that you're definitely going to be enjoying this video for sure. I even have another anti-PokeTuber joining me, so it's a must-see event with the video premiering on Wednesday, so make sure you don't miss that. Also, make sure to join the Discord server if you want to watch this episode and or discuss it with other people, or if you just want an amazing place to hang out with other people who like Pokemon. Today's hashtag question of the day is, did you enjoy Roy's introduction? Personally, I absolutely loved it. It really showed us that he's a really nice guy, and also that he's going to be an amazing trainer to Fuecoco. It was really cool to see how he's also kind of like Ash in the sense that he can just swing from branch to branch, just throws rocks, he's really smart on his feet. The only gripe that I have with Roy, honestly, is that his voice is a little bit annoying, but I'm sure it's going to grow on me, and then I'm going to love him even more to his full potential. But what did you think? Maybe you have a different opinion somehow. Let me know your comment down below with the hashtag KeyOTD, and let's get the discussion going. Of course, if you made it this far into the video, I want to say that I truly appreciate you. But with that being said, it's been your boy Luap, and I'm out. Peace.